Hi, my name is Ulf Hellström and I live in Stockholm, Sweden. So I'm a pure Swedish man. So this is my first attempt to put a vodcast up on YouTube. So what you will see in a couple of minutes is basically a short resume concerning the first 15 to 20 months of my life. And original these moving images was recorded by my father Birger, and they were recorded in the years 1967 to 1968, 1969 basically. So why I'm putting this content up on YouTube, you may ask yourself. Well, two reasons I think. First one is that well, a couple of years ago I was going over my father's old stuff, and he has lots of these old cameras, and I found out that he had these old movie cameras, basically Super 8, and I found some boxes with old Super 8 movies, and I started to read the labels on these movies, and I found out, boy, this is basically history of my family. It's I mean, there content there from when I was a baby and the first years of my life, and the same goes from both my brother and sister. The first years of life is also recorded there. But I also found out that both on my father's side and on my mother's side, my grandmother on my mother's side and grandmother on my father's side, and my grandfather is there, and lots of relatives to my family. Many of them are dead today. Was also there, so I mean, it's a huge piece of history for my family in these boxes. So I start thinking, oh, boy, I must find a way to preserve this for the future, because these old movies was starting to get in bad shape, and in a couple of years you will probably not be able to watch them. And basically also, since they was filmed in an old format, you have to find these projectors that can show this content. And I was lucky because my father has still his old projector lying around that you can use for recording, for showing this old Super 8. And I start thinking, I have to see if this old projector is still working. And I had to work with it a couple of days to get it to work, but I managed to get it to work, and then I started this project to start to digitalize these movies. And I can tell you, it's tough and rough job doing by yourself, basically, because the Super 8 was recorded in about 15 frames per second, and modern DV cam has lots of more images per second than that. So there are some technical obstacles you have to deal with when you're doing this stuff. But anyway, so far I've been able to preserve a couple of hours of all this content. And so what you will see now is basically the first 15-20 months of my life, so in color. So enjoy. Well, so here we go. I don't know exactly how many months old I was here, but I think I'm close up to my first year in life. So my mother and father has well given me some nice clothing and so on, and recording me just staring at the camera. Yeah. So this is how I looked when I was a baby. Well, here's some other images of me playing on the carpet on the floor, or I actually think I'm lying on a bed here playing. Oh, and here's my first birthday cake ever, and I can tell you it was really hard to get that content from this old movie into the DV cam because it was in really bad shape. And well, I'm a little bit older than a year now, I think a year and a half or something like that, playing with some toys, sitting in the TV sofa, I think. So and well, here's my mother and my maternal grandmother So my grandmother, she's dead. She died a couple of years ago. She was 90 years old when she died. So this is my mother and my grandmother and me. So same here. The shape of this movie was in really bad shape, so I had to do a lot of work to get it recorded, and so it actually was visible from my DV cam, but with some modern techniques, I could actually get lots of it in. Oh, and here's the Christmas. I think this is around Christmas 1969 actually. So there was my mother told me that it was trying to get a photo of me there. I couldn't sit still. So here I'm playing with the Christmas gifts I was getting that year. My mother told me it was a quite funny story because I was more interested in the Christmas tree and the things on the Christmas tree than actually my gifts. So here I am. Looking like what am I doing here? What am I doing here? So here they're placing out all my presents that I've got. I look a little bit confused here. So they was trying to record me, trying to get me to play with these things, but oh, I think some relative made me some gloves here, but they looked a little bit too big for me. So they tried to get me to play with my toys, but as you can see, I was actually more interested in the Christmas tree and the Santa Claus there than I was in the gifts. It was much more funny to play out with the Christmas tree than the toys that they tried to make me play. And I had a hard time the first 2-3 years of my life to actually walk and stand, because when my mother gave birth to me, it was really hard, and I was born with a small brain damage, so it was hard for my parents to actually get me up walking and standing. But as you can see, I managed to do that also. Life is finding its way. Well, here we're dancing around the Christmas tree. So this is my grandma and my grandfather on my father's side, and I have lots of memories of both of them from when I was a kid. Both my grandfather and my grandmother. I can still hear my grandmother's laugh. She was a fun, warm, nice person who loved. She never said a bad word about anyone. She had always a smile. My grandfather, who was also a really nice person. So that's what's about it. I hope you enjoyed these minutes of my life. So I stay in touch with you.